A picture seared in the nation's memory. President Bush at Ground Zero 3 days after the attacks. A bullhorn in one hand, the other draped around firefighter Bob Beckwith.
That firefighter with President Bush was Bob Beckwith.
Bob Beckwith was...
Beckwith stood shoulder to shoulder with President Bush.
Bob Beckwith, a firefighter from Queens, New York, in his mid-60s.
That day, he stood alongside the president and stepped onto the national patriotic stage.
Bob, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Very good. And yourself?
I'm very good, sir.
Very good.
I just wanted to touch base with you, your experiences with 9/11, because I painted a painting of you a couple of weeks ago for an auction. And as I was painting you, I thought, I know this man's story, but not really. And now that you've had almost 20 years to digest it, I'd love to hear, first of all, where were you on 9/11 when it happened?
When it happened, Gwen, my daughter had called me that my grandson, going to school on his bicycle, was hit by a car about 2 blocks away from me. And I ran over there to see what was happening, and I saw him on the ground, but he was moving, so that was a plus. And I found out from the ambulance driver what hospital they were taking him to. And I came home to get my car. I listened on the radio, and it said, I heard a guy say
that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more.
And so I came inside, and my wife had it on the television already, and they had cameras there. I was looking, and I said, that's a little bit bigger than a small plane.
Yeah.
I figured I got a bad day going. My grandson gets hit by a car, and now a plane goes in.
Where were you living at the time, Bob?
I was living right here in Baldwin, New York.
When did the phone call come in that you had to go? Were you with your grandson in the hospital, or what? When did you?
Yes, I went to the hospital to be with him. Everybody was watching television at the hospital, and I saw the South Tower come down.
Oh my God. One World Trade Center has collapsed in its entirety.
One World Trade Center is gone.
And then a few minutes later, the North Tower came down.
The other tower just collapsed. Ready to collapse.
And I knew that there was guys in the building, because the firemen were in there. You know what goes through your head when it just hits you pretty hard.
Bob, did you have any inkling that those towers might come down when you saw?
Never thought it would. Really, honestly, never thought that they were coming down. Boy, was I shocked when that happened.
So when did you first arrive at Ground Zero?
What happened was I came home from the hospital later that day, and I told my wife and my kids that I'm going down to Ground Zero, and they said, don't go down, you're too old. I was 69 years old, and they thought I was an old man there, and I'm going to get in the way, so just don't go down there. The next day, I find out that Jimmy Boyle was the president of the UFA, the Uniformed Firefighters Association, and I was one of his delegates. And when I found out his son is missing, I said, that's it, I'm out of here. And I suited up the next morning, and I got to go down to Ground Zero. So I'm driving down there. I'm on a BQE, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and I'm going towards the Williamsburg Bridge. Oh, guess what? The bridges are closed. And I saw a cop's car going over the bridge with 2 vans behind it. I said, I'm going to give it a shot. And I drove between the cones, and I went on the bridge. But when I got over to the other side, there was nobody. Nobody was there. Everything was gray. And I went over to the house watch at 55 Engine, and I told him I'm going down to Ground Zero. And they said, well, good luck. I said, what the heck is that good luck about? Anyway, the police department, they're lined up on a perimeter all around the Ground Zero. I said, I got to get in there, And I showed them my badge, and they let me in. And then the guy said to me, good luck. So I went down to about a block or 2, and then I see the National Guard. They were on the perimeter also. And they said, we don't care that you're a fireman, but you're not getting in. So I had to think fast, and I talked my way in.
I was at that perimeter. I don't know how anyone could have talked themselves through that line. How did you do it?
I told a little fib there. I told them I missed the rig, and I was going to get in trouble if I didn't get in there. And they bought it.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you're there. You snuck across the bridge on the island. Then you sneak across the barrier with the National Guard.
Right.
And then what happens?
And then I came into ground zero, and I tell you, it was a shock.
Now you can see the people running as the buildings begin to
Rescuers running, racing for their lives.
One of the buildings is partially collapsed.
It remains that as yet unidentified survivors will be found in underground.
The first thing that came to my mind was, this is how it probably looked in the Blitz.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what happened? I worked down there all that day. And I was on the bucket brigade, and I found a shovel, and I started digging with the guys, and we found a plumper. A plumper is a fire engine in the rubble, and we told the crane operator to put the rig out in the street, which he did. Some guy comes over and he says, "The president is here." And I saw the guys put their shovel down, and I put mine down, and I walked out to the street. And there's that pumper we just dug out of the rubble. I jumped up on it, and right across the street was a command post, a tent with all microphones in front of it. I figured, that's where the president's going to talk. This Secret Service man came over to me, and he said, "Is this safe?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, jump up and down on it for me." So I jumped up and down on it for him. And he said, "Okay." He said, "Somebody important's coming over here. And when they come here, you help them up, and then you get down." I said, "Okay," because you do what the Secret Service guy tells you to do. The president comes around, and he does a hard right, and he comes right in front of me, and he puts his arm up. So I pull him up, and I turn him around, and I said to him, "Are you okay, Mr. President?" He said, "Yeah." And then I start to get down. He said, "Where you going?" I said, I was told to get down." He said, No, you stay right here. And he put his arm around me, and that's my story.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know any of those things. What did the president say to you at one point? Do you even remember when he turned to you in the middle of the speech and he said some things to you? Do you remember?
No, we couldn't hear. We couldn't hear each other. We did speak to each other, but we didn't hear each other. It was too loud. The guys were yelling. I didn't remember him having that megaphone, the Bullhorn.
Really?
And then he started to speak, and he's speaking to the right, and the guys on the left, they're yelling, "We can't hear you." And then he turned to the left with the Bullhorn, and he said,
I can hear you.
And the whole world hears you.
And the people who knocked these buildings down
will hear all of us soon. They went crazy. They went nuts. They started chanting USA, USA, USA. And it was, he said everything in those 3 sentences.
So, Bob, you were given a flag right after his visit, right?
Yes. When I was helping him get down from the rig, somebody handed him the flag, and he puts his arm up and he waves the flag. I saw Governor Pataki standing there, so I tapped him on the shoulder, and he turns around and he grabs my legs and he picks me up and he puts me out in the street. I said, "You're going to hurt yourself." He said, "I'm a big guy." I said, "Okay." I'm walking back to go back to work, and this Secret Service guy taps me on the shoulder and he said, "The president's been looking for you." I said, "Oh, now what did I do?" and he said, "He wants you to have this flag." I said, "Oh, very nice, thank you." And I stuck it in my pocket, and I'm going back to work. Anyway, Glenn, the Secret Service guy that told me when the politician comes over there and takes my spot to get down, when I went on television, I would tell them my story. And I got a letter from the White House. I'm the guy that told you what to do. Thank you for calling me a Secret Service guy, but, and he signs it, Karl Rove, senior advisor to the president.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my
yes,
gosh.
Exactly. That's what I said.
So let me ask you this, because the day before, your family was saying, you're just going to get in the way. When you got home, after sneaking across the bridge, sneaking past the National Guard, working, then the president is giving one of the most memorable speeches probably since the day of infamy. What did your family say?
I drove over and I said, who's going to believe that I was with the president? There were no cameras down there, Glenn. No cameras at all that I saw. Anyway, I pull up in front of my house and people are coming out, my neighbors, and they all carrying the candles. That was the day they had candles. And they came into my driveway and this police officer across the street from me, and a city cop, and he said to me, Beck, you're on television. I said, get out of here. There were no cameras down there. So I came in the house, and my granddaughter was sitting on a couch, and she says, Grandpa, you're on television. And they were showing it over and over. I said, wow. I was surprised that they had me and the president, who was the most important thing. Yeah.
You stayed in touch with the president?
We did. We still keep in touch. Myself and my wife and a couple of my kids, we were invited to the Oval Office, and it was very nice. Everybody was there, Governor Pataki, Karl Rove was there, Mayor Giuliani, Tommy Von Essen, the commissioner, and Chuck Schumer.
You've had some special experiences because of that picture.
Yes, we were called into, Germany 3 times, and then twice in Cologne, and really treated top shelf.
So, Bob, when you look back at this now, what is it that you take away? What is it that we should, as a people, take away from that moment on the fire truck?
You know what, Glenn? We fought 2 wars. We fought the Japanese and we fought the Germans, and we stuck together, and that's the same thing that happened at 9/11. People came in from every state to help us.
Search and rescue and
rescue, right?
And the food. I was there, Bob, and I saw people come from all over the country to feed you guys. And my wife and I went. These firemen were coming out after a long day, and both of us just started to applaud. Like, I don't know. Everything was upside down, and the enormity of it was just remarkable.
Yes, it really was. But we stuck together, and we received rigs that we lost in it, and other states helped. They built the rigs and sent them to us. This is America, and the people are great. They really are.
Bob, it's an honor to talk to you. It really is. I made a painting for charity, and I was wondering if you would be willing to sign it. If I sent it up to you, would you be willing to sign it?
Of course.
That would be great. Bob, thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you, Glenn.
Thank you. Bye-bye.